Hello guys, the gearbox is coming out. So as you can see, I've worn a woolly hat and fleece because it's a little bit cold out there, and it's a bit damp as well. It's not dry, as you can see on the windows, the water. I hope it's not going to rain, but here we go. Okay, so I'm gonna try to make this as short as possible. I'll show you what we are taking out and how we are taking it out, and that's it. Some people say, why didn't you just give somebody to do the job? Well, I could, but I like doing this stuff as well, so this is why I'm doing it. Okay, so there we go. Well, it started drizzling now. It's starting to rain. So what we're gonna do, first thing first, take off the battery and the tray to make space there before we jack the car, because once we jack the car, it's going to be a bit higher. So the best thing is take off this to make space, remove all the bolts for the gearbox at the top and the linkages for the gear selectors, all that stuff that is at the top here, so that when we go underneath at the top, things are removed. There's a mount there as well that we'll have to remove. So does this car, Vauxhall, they have this it has this thing, it's called a subframe that runs around, so we will have to loosen it on this side so that it goes and the gearbox will go back. So that's how it is, battery out and all this at the top. Then we'll go to the next stage. Here, when you remove all these bolts, try to put them back. You remove the tray, you put them back where they were, and there is another bolt hiding at the back there, so it wouldn't come out because there is a bolt at the back there. Right, I've taken off the battery and that box that the battery sits on. Okay, them bolts that hold the box, they're number 13 mil. Now, as you can see, that this cable, these are the linkages for that connects to the gear lever there. So you just pop out with a screwdriver. So you pop out, and then that one as well. And then here as well, you just remove them from there. All right, good. Right, now I have removed them. As you can see, very easy to put them back. You just press them down. There's another one on that side. Now to remove this part here, at the back here, this thing moves backwards. As you can see, it moves backwards. So you move backwards and you lift, and you do the same on the other one. Right, next is to remove that from here. We need space here so that gearbox can go that way. We don't want to remove the gearbox fully because we just want that latch. So we're removing all these bolts, this and that, so that it moves that way. See, this is going to touch here. I think we'll have enough space to get to that latch. Then remove that here at the bottom here. This is the mount for the gearbox. Remove it so that it gets off the way, and all the bolts that holding the gearbox at the top here. Then we go underneath. All right, looks like Vauxhall has worked very, very hard to make sure that DIYers like us find it very difficult to get to these bolts, but this is how it is. Just have to improvise and get your hand in there. I've removed 3 so far. This one is the 3rd one. So when it goes back, this bracket that holds this cable has to go in with it. Okay, one more thing is these bolts, you have to always check the length. You see this one? Let me just show you. You have to know which one comes from where, because they're not the same length. Look at this one. You see? It's longer than these two. So you have to remember that. So this one and this one, these two, they came from the top. So they're a bit shorter. So when you put them back, you don't put this one in the wrong place because it's not going to work. Right, that's pretty much that I needed to remove here before lifting the car. So I've removed this one here, these two here, and that one there as well. And two of them here, same size. These two, they go to the top, they're the same size, or they're shorter. So now it's time to remove the wheels and then go underneath. So I'm gonna remove the wheels. Guys, Zafira gearbox doesn't have an oil plug. I looked everywhere, I don't see the oil plug. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna remove the drive shafts. Oil will pour out in here. There's no oil plug anywhere. I looked everywhere, no oil plug. Very, very strange that they made the gearbox with no oil plug. Where to remove oil, you know, there's nothing. So I'm left with no choice to just carry on. I'll get new oil. Zafi, bloody hell. All right, I removed the ball joint at the bottom there, right there. I don't know if the camera can pick this up. So this thing can go. As you can see, it's loose. And I pulled the drive shaft from there. There was no oil in the gearbox. Maybe this is why it was refusing to change. No oil whatsoever came out. So because the drive shaft will be stuck in there, like on this other side. Let me just, as you can see there is a drive shaft. Okay, that rusty bit there is the drive shaft. So you need to get a metal or a chisel and tap it a little bit so that it moves outside. I wish I could do that, but I don't have anybody to hold the camera for me underneath here. You just keep tapping it so it'll move to the other side. It comes out. Okay, that's how it is. You don't tap it very hard, just a little bit. This one as well, because it will be in there. You just get a chisel and then you go underneath, you tap it this way, just tiny bit. It will just keep coming, sliding out. I wish I could do that, but I have limited resources. I could show you, but sorry. Okay, now the drive shafts are off. The other one is off as well. It just needs pulling out. So I'm going to remove all the bolts around the gearbox and put the jack under the engine and remove the mounts. Okay, the gearbox mounts. Now, as you can see right there, there's a huge gap. I removed all the bolts around and then it just fell off straight away. It didn't give me a lot of headache as I was thinking. So it's not like insignia. I think we can easily move it this way without having to remove the subframe. So you can see a big gap here. I need this gearbox to keep going that way so that I can put the spanner in there, remove the pressure plate and then the friction plate as well. Then also I need to remove this inside. It's a sleeve cylinder inside, because it's best to just change it, at this stage. If I leave it after going through all this hell, it will be unthinkable. So that's how it is, folks. It's coming out. It's coming out. Vauxhall has made it a little bit tricky as usual, so that DIYers like us, we don't tend to do the jobs ourselves, you know. That's the idea. So you can see it's right here. Okay, just carry on. As you can see here, guys, this is the only gap probably I'll be able to get. The gearbox wouldn't go any further that way unless I remove this top part of the gearbox, which will create more work. So I'm gonna attempt to just remove the pressure plate and the friction plate by doing this. So as you can see that the spanner can go in. It does spin a little bit. Let me just try this one here. It does spin a little bit. This one is loose. These you don't want to damage the corners on these. You'll have absolute nightmare. All right, so delicate. If this one breaks, to get it out of there without space like this, be careful, guys. So I'm gonna remove the pressure plate and the clutch plate. Well, there it is, guys. This is the friction plate. Why was it slipping? It doesn't look very, very finished to me. I mean, I'll show you the new one. Let's look at the difference. I still don't understand why it was slipping. Okay, so you go up a hill and you put on second or third gear, you floor it, push down the gas, you hear the engine spinning hard, the revs go high, but the car is not moving. Yeah, so there it is. I'm amazed how tiny they are for a 7-seater. It's a bit shocking because Insignia, they were much bigger than this, you know. So all right, so I'm gonna get the new ones and put them in and change the clutch slave cylinder. All right, this is the new one here. So as you can see, there's not much difference, to be honest with you, such as, you know. And this one has only, if you look at the springs inside, they don't have other springs. Like this one, they have bigger springs. And they have also springs inside. So I hope it's the right size. Maybe just junk. It looks very cheap, to be honest with you. It's gonna last 2 weeks. This, it doesn't look really quality. This one looks like good quality because it has double springs inside. Even the design itself. At the back here, there's the back side. Look how this one is designed. And look at this one. This is junk. I can clearly see this is absolute junk. Let's look at the pressure plate. Put this. Pressure plate. Let's look at GM. Pressure plate seems to be okay, but if they're selling that as a kit with this, I don't trust both of them. Here's a release bearing. Like a little seal. Chinese stuff. I just think, look at that. This is the thing that you, when you press, moves. Looks light and cheap. This is not going to last. I must as well leave my release bearing in there than to put this cheap. Alright, let's go ahead. We're gonna put it back in, see how it goes. Alright folks, I just finished fiddling with this this bearing. My goodness, that bearing, to remove it there, it's a pain in the lower back. That little screw, this one for the pipe, this one here, my advice is, if you have removed it, this one here, if you have removed this one here, don't put this and tie all these 3 bolts before you put it in. Put it in and tie it, but don't fasten it yet. Then slide this in and put all the 3. It took me almost 30 minutes to realize it's not going in, because all these other 3 were tight before I put it in. So I removed the whole thing, put it in, tie it a little bit, and then slide it in here, and put the other 3, tighten them very hard, and then I tighten it. Now it's good. So there is the clutch bearing, release bearing. Okay, so I'm putting everything back in. It's gonna be just straightforward. I don't think there's anything to report, so we'll see. I'm just gonna put everything and see what happens after. Oh. Right folks, I have removed one of these. It was at the top there. I'm going to put 2 pints of oil. This 1 liter, so it's going to be 2 liters. I don't know where to check how to, drain oil from this thing, so I'm just fed up. I've been looking all over and I can't find anything, so I'm gonna put them in there, and that's it. And one other ridiculous thing that Vauxhall have done was to put the brake fluid reservoir there. How do you put the brake fluid there? Very stupid, absolutely stupid. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna do. 2 liters of these. There was nothing in there, so 2 liters. Yeah folks, this is how you bleed the clutch for a Zafira. This little nipple here. I have my wife pumping and pressing the clutch. So right now she has pressed, so just open this for the air to come out until just normal brake fluid come out, then it will be alright.